Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I'm going to be sharing 3 DIYs that you can do to spruce up a little vase or a planter or something that you have in your home that could use a little love or a little extra pizzazz. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Also, if you are not yet following me on Instagram, head on over and follow me at Valerie Aguiar. I share a lot of behind the scenes and day-to-day stuff there. Don't forget, if you like this video, give us a big thumbs up and leave us a comment below. We always love hearing from you guys. So this first vase is actually not really a vase at all. It is one of those canister type things. It's from Walmart and it has a lid that goes on. I will show you guys a picture here, but it is actually just like a kitchen canister and I just don't really use these that much anymore. They've been kind of in my cabinet, so I thought I could probably spruce it up or enhance it somehow. So I went on Amazon and I have kind of been obsessing over these like reed type materials. They're very natural. This is actually what is used to make baskets and for basket weaving. So I've been doing a little bit of research on all the different types of reeds, and there's flat reed. This is what I'm looking at here, flat reed. There's also rounded reed that's a little bit more a rounded shape. There's half rounds, and this is all different types for basket weaving. So I actually ended up picking up some of that from Amazon. It did take about a week or so to get here, but I wasn't really in a hurry. And I grabbed the smoked color. I liked this really warm, kind of raw material, very natural and very pretty. I love this darker brown color. They also have it in the lighter more natural color, but I really liked this smoked color, they called it. They also have a ton of different sizes. This is the 1/4 inch. So, and this came with a pound. So I have so much more for different DIYs and a lot of leftovers for more projects. So what I ended up doing was kind of cutting this to size to match my vase. And then I also wanted it to kind of roll underneath the vase a little bit. So it kind of gave it that rounded look on the bottom. So I just kind of measured it out. I really just eyeballed it. And then I cut the bottom piece off. And I just kept doing this all the way around that little canister until I got to the other side. Just the vertical lines alone were cute, but I felt like it just didn't look finished. So I wanted to do kind of like a plaid or a grid type pattern. So I actually did do a little rim right around the top, and that looked really cute. I feel like it added a little something extra to that top there. And also these canisters from Walmart, they're only $10 for this really big one, and then the smaller ones I think are like $5 or $6, so they're really inexpensive. And for the horizontal lines, I took the same reed and just wrapped it horizontal several different places throughout the vase, and then hot glued that on. And I hot glued it onto the reeds itself, not onto the glass. And once it was all finished, we had a new container for some pretty spring branches. These are from our backyard, and they have all the little blossoms on them since spring is right around the corner. I have my helper right there. I love this kind of basket weaved spring, natural and organic style, a very simple update to a canister or vase or something that you have around the house. This is a very easy upgrade. And moving on to the second vase. This is the Minka vase, very well known. I'm sure you guys have seen this vase. People are dying to get their hands on this vase, and it is sold out or back ordered until August from Anthropologie. So it comes in 3 different sizes, the small, medium, large, and they go from anywhere from $40, I believe, up to $100 or so. If you are lucky enough to have an Anthropologie near you, you might be able to find one in stores. Sometimes they have them and sometimes they don't, but I'm going to show you how to DIY the look for this. So if you guys remember, several weeks ago on a shop with me trip to Home Goods, I picked up this vase, and it's kind of like a barrel type shape. It was $9.99. This shape vase was pretty close to what I was looking for to DIY the Anthro vase. So the only difference is it didn't have like a lip type thing on the top, so I was going to have to build that up or create that with the mortar that I was going to use. So I also mapped out kind of where the dots were going to be. Those are little cement marks right there. So I happen to have this in my garage. I use this a lot for like DIYs and planners and things like that. You can also use mortar. I feel like the mortar would have worked better, but I didn't really want to go buy any more. So they also make it pre-mixed, or you can mix it yourself. I used the Quick Wall, and the only difference with the Quick Wall is it's a little bit more kind of sandy. It has like a little bit more of a sandy type texture. And it has those little hairy looking fiber things, which are kind of annoying for this project. So I would recommend using the mortar. So I mixed up the cement mix and I made it really thick on purpose, almost like a Play-Doh type, so that it's a lot more pliable, and I could make a bunch of these little balls. These are going to be the little dot accents that are going to be hanging off of the vase. And like I said, this Quick Wall stuff does have these little fibers. They sand off really easy, but they are just kind of a little pain in the butt because it adds another step. But I do like that it has that sandy texture, so it's all just what you want to do. But I did kind of make sure that all the little balls were very awkward and odd and very unique shape. I estimated my container to be about the medium size, so I made about 90 of these little rounded balls. So I mixed up some more of that cement mix and just started putting it on the vase. There's really no rhyme or reason. It's not pretty. It's very messy, but the good thing is you just keep layering it on. I think I did about 2 to 3 layers. The first layer is the hardest because you have to kind of get it to stick, but once you get that first layer on, it just starts to stick to itself, if that makes sense. So when I applied the cement, I would work more from like the top and move down towards the middle, and once I got to the middle, it really wanted to start like sliding down, so I just focused on the very like top half, and then I let that dry, and once it was completely dry and like hard to the touch, I flipped the vase over and then would do the bottom half, if that makes sense. So it would, I think gravity, you kind of have to work against gravity there, so I feel like it just helps to do the top half, flip it, and then do the bottom, if that makes sense. Another quick tip that I feel like really helps a lot is I put my little space heater on as well, and I feel like it kind of helps speed up the process of drying a little bit. So this is me adding on a second coat, and that first coat, I know you guys can see some texture in there, so I'm going to show you how to get that. I found this ribbon at Hobby Lobby. It's like a netting type material. It has a wire in the sides. It does have a little bit of glitter on it, but the glitter doesn't matter since you're going to be painting anyway. And while your mortar is wet, you want to just imprint this onto your mortar, and it works best when your mortar is like thicker rather than thinner. If it's really thin and on the thinner or runny side, it's not going to show up as well. So I will also show you another way that I added a little bit of extra texture more towards the end. And while the vase was almost dry, it was still a little bit tacky. I took some more of the wet cement, and I just kind of dipped the dots into the cement and then attached them on. So once everything was dry, it would adhere all together. So there really isn't any rhyme or reason. I kept taking them off and putting them back on, and like I said, this is closest to the medium style vase, which the medium style has 6 dots down, but I kind of just adjusted mine to do 5, and it worked out fine. And I love how all of the dots are very unique. There's really no uniform. They're all just very random in different sizes and different shapes. And I feel like it adds so much character and just makes it really unique. And for that kind of top lip part, this vase does have like a lip that kind of curves up, and it's very odd shaped and kind of fun. So I just built up the cement and kind of added that on, and luckily the cement just blends all really well. You can kind of mold it and shape it into really whatever shape you want. So once I got everything attached, I let it dry completely overnight. The quick wall and the white mortar, they dry very bright white. So it doesn't really matter. You could even use the gray mortar because you're going to be painting it anyway. One thing I wanted to change was I felt like there wasn't enough texture on there. So what I did was I pulled out some of the joint compound. I had this in the garage. And what I did is I just took a stick and kind of applied it right like in the middle in between some of the dots. And then I took my ribbon again and imprinted it onto the vase, giving it that same kind of texture. You can totally skip this step if you don't want a lot of that design and that texture on there, but I wanted it kind of everywhere since that's the look of the Anthro vase. And once the joint compound dries, it does dry really hard, and you could even sand it down a little bit if you wanted to. If you had some little sharp peaks on there, you can also sand it down. So once it was completely dry, joint compound does not take long to dry at all. I just mixed up some kind of beigey paint. I will show you the colors that I used, but I ended up just kind of mixing like an antiqued white and even a little bit of that gold there, not too much, but I wanted to do the first layer kind of a beigey, and then I was going to go over it again with a white. So I just used a sponge brush type thing and painted that beigey color all over. And then this here is my little secret weapon. That is paprika. You guys, it is kind of very similar to the dirt technique I have on my channel. I basically just sprinkled this kind of up on top of the dots. If you see the real Anthropologie vase, it has kind of that reddish orange little hint in between there. And this is the antique white paint that I used. It was from Hobby Lobby, and I just painted over the paprika with some of this white paint and just left tiny little bits to kind of peek through. I think the paprika also helped in kind of tinting the color a little bit. It maybe had warmed up that white a little bit more than if I wouldn't have used the paprika, but I really liked how it just kind of sat like around all the little dots and gave it just a little bit more character, a little bit more dimension, and added a little bit more interest to this piece. So I just kept repeating this process until I was happy with how it looked. So I did put a lot of paprika on there, but then I would kind of paint over it. And once you get everything to how you like and it's completely dry, you can also go over this with a clear coat. I really didn't have a lot of like the spice showing at all, or to the point where it was falling off or anything, so I just kind of skipped the clear coat. But I love how this turned out. I feel like it is pretty close to the real thing. There are a couple little details missing, but it gives you that same elevated look and that texture, a little bit of warmth. And I love styling this with a candle, greenery, and it's just a really great neutral piece for any space. I also had started a third DIY vase for you guys, but it was not done by the time this video needed to come out. So it's still in the drying process. It took a little bit longer than I had planned. So I will give you guys a little peek of what's going on with that here, and head on over to my Instagram and I will update you guys on that little piece there. So thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.